Mhm. Mm.
There we go.
We are live, baby. We are Huang, and
And Heiko, and we're the Essence of Truth podcast.
which is all about the freedom and happiness that everybody wants, but didn't know how to get. Woohoo!
That's exactly right. And most of the time, what's really standing in the way is that we have this potential. We know we are capable of more, but for some reason, we can't reach our potential, right? Our focus is scattered, our energy is drained, and we end up procrastinating or doing things that are not serving us. And we know what we should do, but we're not doing it. And we know we are capable of so much more. We can enrich our life so much more. We want to feel alive, right? To use this opportunity of life that we have. And most of all, we don't want to regret at the end of our lives, looking back, wishing we would have done differently. And so today we want to get to the root cause of it. And of course, also share what you can do to change it, to get more energy, to claim your potential, and to basically make your life the masterpiece it deserves to be. And so, Juan, take it off and share your insights about it.
You gotta help me a little bit more, brother. Uh,
Well, I mean, you are the king of Zen power, right? So maybe start with explaining what it is, and then we explore how this relates to everyone not reaching their potential.
Potential and send power. In energy, in physics, and I'm not a professional here, so if you have any comments, so disclaimer upfront, right? As far as I know of, we have many type of energy around us, right? Kinetics energy and I don't know, radiation, something like that. I forgot the other name. I just only care about
Yeah, yeah,
kinetics.
radiation is true. Yeah.
All right, yeah, and also, but those are already expressed. So there's one thing which is in everything, that is the potential energy, is what we call, well, potential, right? And there's potential in everything. So with us is the same thing. When we have a lot of potential, right? And that is within our within our 24 hours a day, and we can do a lot of things at the same time. Now imagine all of those potential is being pulling away by, and I want to thank you for that, for sending the YouTube video about that monk guy, which the other podcast, which is talking about we're being pulling away, right? Buy this, get that, make faster and all that stuff. There's a bird, you see? So I just got distracted, hitting the window. So with all of that, we just keep chasing on this one thing, the other one thing, and the other one thing. So we keep doing the things what other people want us to do. And at the same time, how much is it left of us? How much left of our potential, right? It's left. So nothing, or at least very little, which is why instead of instead of doing the right thing, which is, I don't know, fitness, um, uh, educate yourself, or doing the things that is going toward your destiny, you doing all of those things. So imagine when you um wow, my mind just got blank over there. You see potential wasted with a bird. So imagine that when you cut off all of those things, through either meditation, right, through focus, and you train your mind in that way, all of those energy, right, it's being like, when it's being cut off, so you have more time for yourself, your potential returns, right? And another one, and another one, and another one. How do you see that in the other part? For example, the sun, right? The sun, when it's shining on Earth, it's well, you see the sun, but you don't feel that hot. At least it's kind of on a warm or hot weather, the light itself. But when you put on I don't know what's it called, the glass, where the energy is being focused and concentrated, and then it become, well, it feel very hard. I used to play with that, and then it could burn. And on a higher level, uh, laser, right? Of course, not with that thing, but laser is nothing more than focuses light, right? And it can penetrate and pierce everything and anything. So, well, a lot of things. So imagine with us when all of those energy that is spreading around and scattering around, right? It get focused, it get concentrated because there's the thing that allow it to do so. And when it's cutting off, all of those spreading thing, which is all the things that doesn't serve us, we start to have more potential, more potential, more potential. Any one of you guys ever do meditation? Right? How do you feel afterward? Right? Do you feel like even worse or do you feel better in terms of calmer, right? In terms of more collected, maybe sometimes returning home, right? And I know in beginning when we are not used to that and everything sometimes need to get used to because we've forgotten them, what will happen, right? You push through those moments or you find a better way for yourself and then you feel so much more collected, you feel much more calmer and powerful, isn't it? And you feel as if you can do so much more and your creativity changes, you become perhaps more creative, the tasks get done faster maybe.
Yeah, I think you're completely right with that. And thank you for sharing that because it's exactly the experience I had. So like first off, before I started traveling, right, I had this desire to travel, to be free, to experience freedom. And I know I had the potential to do that. But there was a lot of fear, insecurities there, and a lot of things, pulled away my focus from that. So instead of, choosing a destination and finding out what I need to do for, visa or what kind of maybe like clothing I would need, or like maybe there are diseases there where I need to get protection from. Like instead of doing any of that, my focus was just scattered all over the place, right? And of course, you have your friend circles, you look on medias, you have advertising, and it's like you said, and I can really imagine that like, all these strings pulling away my focus from me. And then even, I had the autoimmune condition, so I wanted to become healthier. But then, I was with my friend circle, and it's like, hey, drinking beer and alcohol and stuff like that. And I knew it wasn't good for me, but I wanted to belong, so I still did it, right? And so, like, diminishing my energy, diminishing my health, and with that, also my potential. And it's so true how you described that, because when I started meditating, slowing things down, coming back to me and noticing all these strengths that are attached to me, right? Where my attention went, where my energy went, and my potential basically got wasted. This really made me aware of what's going on. And the first reaction I had, I was blaming all of them. But then again, coming back to me, no, all of them were also just a potential, right? There was the potential to be with them, to drink the alcohol. There was the potential to eat the burger at McDonald's. There was the potential to do these things, but I made the choice to do these things. And once I became aware and I came back to my essence of truth, of who I really want to be, how I want to live my life, this is then when I started either cutting off those strengths that pulled away from me, or I changed how I interacted with them. So I cut it off, let's just say junk food and all these kind of things. I cut it off alcohol, but I didn't cut off the strength to my friend circle. But what I did was saying like, hey, listen, guys, I love you guys. I want to be with you. I want to spend time with you, but I'm cutting off alcohol, right? And I know, it's been a part of our group for a while now. So if that's a problem for you, no problem, let me know. And worst case, I'm out. Otherwise, I can still have a great time with you, not drinking. And my fear in me was like, holy shit, that's it. Like, they don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. But the reality was like, first off, they completely respected it. And second, some of them even said, like, actually, I want to do the same, but I didn't have the courage to say anything. So I continued doing it. And so with me doing that, I then basically gave them permission to do it as well. And so we even formed a deeper bond there, right? So with me taking the action to looking into myself And doesn't even necessarily has to be meditation for that sake, right? Just really, it's doing the work of looking within yourself. Where's my focus? Where does my energy go? Where am I wasting my potential? And then taking the ownership to say like, hey, it's not them. I made this decision. I took the burger and put it in my mouth. I chewed the stuff and swallowed it down, right? So it was my fault. And at the beginning it was uncomfortable, but it became grace, and it became so grateful for doing this, for understanding this, because I get then got to choose which strings do I cut off, which do I change the thing as I just explained. And what I've realized, because before I was always tired the whole time, but when I cut it off these strings, I had more energy. I felt more focused. And I had so much more I had more time, more energy available. So there was so much more potential that I could now direct. And so the first thing I did was focusing on my health, because I knew if I want to travel the world and I'm sick all the time, that's not going to work out. So I made better decisions, and I directed my potential, my energy, my focus towards healing as far as I could with the knowledge that I had back then. And I did to a certain degree. So then it's like, okay, I want to travel, but there's still, a lot of fear. What if I wanted to go to New Zealand, which was basically the opposite side of the planet? So like all these thoughts coming in, like, oh, what if I'm there? Things happening. No, but I don't know anyone there. It's too far. It's too expensive to fly back. So what could I do? Okay, let's choose a little thing. So I went to the UK. It's a 1 hour flight from where I live. People are close. Could get help. So I reduced the fear to such a minimum that, like, hey, okay, let's just try it out. Worst case, I can hop in the car or hop in the plane and I'm there in a couple hours. So I reduced the thing and I started following my potential. And what then happened completely blew me away, because when I finally started tapping into my potential and actually choosing the path that I had the greatest own inner desire for, not a desire that an advertising told me, but I chose. And what happened then is there was so, like, I became so happy, so energetic. I became, like, I used to be very shy. I became more extroverted. I've started to love myself, to love the life that I lived. And I had people around me asking, like, what do you do? Like, every time I'm seeing you, you're so positive, you're so happy. Like, are you faking that? Or like, what's the drug you're using? Right. And I'm like, back then I didn't even fully understand what's happening. But what it was I lived up to my potential. And of course, it doesn't mean like I hit like this is my potential. I was gone. Like it grew right from there. There was always a next step, but I was following these steps, and so I traveled more, did more things. Started scuba diving, all these kind of things. So I expanded myself all the time. Even now, I'm still continue growing, and with that, my energy grows, my capabilities grows, my potential grows, and everything I can live, create, experience comes from there, which to me is basically the definition of living your life. And even if I had to go today, like let's just say I would die today, I will feel grateful. And there would be no regret, because I knew I did what I could with the time that I had. And it all started with really looking in, becoming aware of all the strengths that were attached, where my energy, my focus, my potential was gone. And then taking ownership of that, and then cutting off what was necessary to have the energy, the focus, and the potential that I needed to move on. And Juan, I'm so curious, because I mean, you are into Zen power, following the Zen path. And so I'm so curious, especially with your history of coming from Vietnam to the Netherlands and everything, like how this development was for you, and how did you find your path to tap into your potential, living up to your potential?
Thank you for asking that. And wow, I agree with you, right? With everything that you share. When we cutting off those things, I mean, what's left is going to be our potential, and you able to do do that, you can feel them, right? You feel all of them. And well, you live to, there's no perfection, guy, but there is the path toward that, which, leading to the Zen path or Zen power. I still remember when I was in Vietnam, growing up in the hood, which is dangerous everywhere. So if you imagine that your thoughts have to go into multiple direction, because you're either gonna get beat up, you're gonna get murdered, or at least I get sell off too. So it's being pulling away from every direction, right? To have to survive. And some of us has to do that in life. And in every, this is such a cool thing. Later I found out, in every curses there are blessings, and in every blessing there are curses, right? So coming back to that, um, when I go into the Netherlands, things become too much because everything is new, and the way that it have to be handled, it has to be, well, it's literally its opposite. Do you know that in Vietnam we don't really tell how we feel? At least that how I was raised, right? Because you have to always be composed, right? Your emotions is weakness, and so on. And here, when I go to Netherlands or the West, everything is just you could express it, right? And I literally, everything that's supposed to not supposed to happen, it's happened. So I was totally like getting people emotions, like you make me mad, you make me whatever, and I was like, what's going on, right? And then it got worse, so much more information, and I kept pulling even more, right, uh, out until it hit my rock bottom, which is everything becomes too much to handle. I have to fear, I have to yeah, afraid, and regret and many other things, until I started to learn to cut, one and more of those, I call it potential limiter, right? Because our potential being pulling away, so it limit even more. So there's even less of our potential, or less of us inside, which was me, right? There was nothing left, rock bottom. And I discover, the regrets, all of those fear. And when you do you know what, when you start to let go of more things, and when you meditate more, then you start to recognize those things. Oh my God, in my head, and when I talk about it outside of it, strangely enough, it is so much different. And um, yeah, when I just throw a blank over here.
Well, I found it very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, because I can only imagine when you're coming from this culture where the emotions are not expressed,
Mhm.
which makes sense to me now because I lived there, but I didn't know that. But it made sense now that you're sharing it. And also, I remember the thing of like not losing your face. So like when you get angry, you're not showing it, and it makes me like I have huge respect for this journey of yours, because I mean, when you came to Europe, like everything was different. People were reacting differently in a way your nervous system, your survival brain never had to face before. So it was a completely new thing. And to me, it's no wonder really that you hit rock bottom, because I can only imagine that it feeling like everything you've learned was wrong, right? Everything you learned to survive was wrong. It didn't work in this environment anymore. And like now you have to completely adapt again. But then knowing what kind of person you became, who you are now, like to me, this is amazing. And I just want to express my respect and gratitude to you. And I think this is such a great sign of how far you can come. Like if you take the journey inward, right? Whether it's meditating or just literally, like, some people do it through journaling, but looking inward, looking what's going on within you, where the strengths are going, what's affecting you, and working with that, through that, with the goal of unleashing your potential, which then also means defining what it means for you, right? What is the thing you want to go after? Who do you want to be? And then finding ways to make that happen. Like this to me takes the greatest respect, because It means facing your demons head on, and you did it. And look how far you've come. And I think you're such a great symbol or role model for anyone who wants to go that path and to see what's possible, how far you can go. And I mean, look, we're here now sharing this online. Potentially everybody could see that, right? So I think this really shows how much strength one can develop. And with that, the openness, the vulnerability to share, to then help others, which is the whole reason we're here, right?
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. And it is very true. It's when I'm not sure. Yeah, well, every one of us somewhere on the line in life, we will hit that place, right? And to get back up, I think Sylvester Stallone is one of my hero when he say this. Actually, or before with his Rambo movies. Nobody's gonna hit as hard as life, but it's not about how hard you hit, but how about you can get hit and get going, right? So going through the journey, in all of us, going through the journey of life. So either we're gonna share the challenges or not. It will be up to us. um, I remember the first thing to to do for me, it was become aware, be really become aware of what really isn't working here, what really isn't helpful for me, and starting to cutting them off, right? Literally cutting them off, and like we are sharing the potential, right? And all of the things that draining us, potential limiter, when we started to cut them off one by one. um, Imagine this bottled water. Now this water represent our well, our energy or our potential. Imagine there's like a zillions of hole, like being everywhere in, and you see the amount of water is leaking out, right? How much left? Well, it's not going to take long because it's before it's empty. And that was me. Like that was me when my mind and my body broke down, until I found out, like, hang on, where is the leak, right? Where is the leak? And slowly cutting off, which is putting kind of like a, a thing into that, and then one by one, and then I feel fuller. Don't you guys have any moments that when you're saying when you're saying yes to something that you don't actually stand for or don't like to do, right? But this is to please another, right? Now, how does that feel? Imagine the same thing when you're saying no to that, right? How would that feel toward yourself? And so when you remove all of those things through starting to be aware, and to take the action which you did, and I want to honor you for that, right? And all of you guys, which taking the action that allow yourself to, well, to feel full again, right? um, to have your potential even fuller, and to remove that limiter. um, then how would you feel? So when you and life is a journey, right? You will fall down and you get back up again, and every time you do that, you get a little bit stronger, right? You get a little bit better, just like practicing language or anything else, and until the point that you like, damn, it feels so good. And finally, through all the anxiety and all the things that I had so much in the past, I can stand, like many of you, right? When you travel the journey, I can stand, on the street and say, "Oh, it feels so good. I don't have that anxiety in this moment anymore. It doesn't need to happen." So I'm curious. One of the thing that bind me so much, it was regrets. And oh, I should have done this better. I regret. I could have done this better. I shouldn't say that, or I should have said that. So regret is one of the biggest things for me. I'm curious about you guys, right? And you also, brother. What has been in the past things that you regret, and now you've been able to let go of? For me, it was relationship, and it was um, um, well, actually a lot of things I shouldn't say, and I should have say, and then shoulda, woulda, coulda. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's totally same for me. Like just when you asked the question, I was like, man, there were so many things I regretted back then. But I think what all changed for me, and like now I don't regret those anymore because they turned into grace. Because I learned to understand the pain they caused, the regret they caused, helped me to make the transition. And I think this is one of the biggest problems people have, where people try to avoid pain at any cost, right? And they try to avoid facing their own inner demon, so to speak. But this is the most healing thing you can do for yourself. And like facing them, for me, learning this and understanding why I reacted this way, why did I make this decision, that opened my eyes and gave me the chance to now make better decisions than before. Like it gave me so much more power, right? It gave me actually the power to use the potential the way I want to, not the way my survival brain just makes me do, or like being influenced by others and stuff. So it really comes down to taking this path. And I want to thank you for sharing this, with the bottle leaking, because I find this is so powerful, and it also demonstrates something that most people miss. Where like, what do most people do? They have all these leaks, right? The leaks is leaking out. They procrastinate. They feel shame, guilt, or whatever kind of thing, regret, and they want to change something in their life. So what do? They add more to the table, right? More to the plate. So okay, now I need to go to the gym, and I need to learn this, and I need to do this. But there's still these leaks, so all the energy, the focus, everything is still draining, and you try adding more to the pot, and then you're wondering why it doesn't work, and you think it's you. But the first thing is really cutting off from those things that are leaking you, like the strings that are pulling you from you, whatever metaphor you want to use for it. But cutting off these things so that you have more time, like I did. And I mean, back then I didn't know this process, but I know it now because I looked into it and reflected on it. But the first thing I did was cutting off. And then just by doing that, I realized, man, I have so much more time available now. Like back then, I spent like 4 hours a day watching TV or playing video games. So now cutting that off gives me 4 hours a day. Like, holy shit. Like, think about what you can do with it. Like, I could, even if I go 1 hour to the gym every day, I still have 3 hours, right? I could read a book 1 hour a day. I still have 2 hours left. And it made me realize how much I can actually do, how much I can use my potential when I'm just cutting off stuff. Then I can add something new to it. But before, like, and I did the same thing where I had all these leaks, I had all these strings pulling from me, and I tried to add things, and it didn't work out. And I thought I am a failure, but I wasn't. I just had the wrong strategy, right? And so I want to thank you for sharing this, because it's, gave me just another picture for my head, and really love this. And I think I also want to take this as my takeaway of today, where like, like look where your leaks are. Where is your focus, your energy, your potential leaking? And what do you need to cut off? Like this is my takeaway for today, because I think this is the foundation. And it comes down, the essence of truth. Cutting this off allows you to come back to your truth, and to then direct your focus or allocate your energy, whatever, however you want to call that. But it puts you into the seat of power to make new decisions. And instead of just spreading more resources and making you, spreading yourself more thin, you're building yourself up. And you're not acting, reacting, making a decision out of lack. Now you can get to make it out of abundance, because now you have. And think about it, like even like, I said with time and energy and stuff, but even finances. Like I was wasting so much time, so much money on junk food and stuff that don't even need, just because advertising made me the desire to have it. So now I cut all these things off and have more money, which is then the money I used for traveling, right? So that's that to me. This is the foundation of it all. So thank you for that. And I'm curious, what is your takeaway, Juan?
Wow, this is actually something you share. And my takeaway is, with all those advertisement and all the things that people do or ask us to do this, do that, which, this is actually being inspired by you, right? today. So thank you for that. And when we've been pulling away by this, do that, and from one desire into another, right? One thing into another, and there's nothing left inside of us anymore, right? The only thing is, well, let's just say empty can, and then with a leakage, actually zillions of them, and we keep filling it. So take care of the bottom first, or take care of the leakage before we filling it in. And so that is my takeaway. So thank you so much for sharing that, brother. And yeah, I'm actually curious about you guys. What are your takeaway, right? Are they regrets, which I remember it was a huge deal in my life, right? So what could you letting go of? What are regrets, and what else is out there other than that, right? And there's one more thing I remember when you were sharing. That is, I think Bruce Lee say something about practice. Something about, I'm not afraid of someone that practice 10,000 kick, but I am afraid of someone that practice one kick 10,000 times. So all of this kind of bringing back to the essence of true, right? To the part about the potential and how focusing you actually, yeah, do or use, and the result, which is, I mean, extraordinary, is the follow up after that. So are you ready for that following up? Of an extraordinary potential that you have.
I'm so ready, baby. And yeah, I'm curious of you guys too. Like, what is your answer to that? What are your takeaways? What are your thoughts, insights, stories that you get to share? Like, we want to hear them. Also, if you have questions, feel free to comment them below or send us a message. But other than that, I think this was great today. I really thank you for all the shares that you did. I put some notes down for myself, and this is really something like, guys, I can't say this enough. Like, cut off the strengths, like fix your leakages, and you're gonna be in such a much better place.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And let us know in the comment below, what your what your string that you're cutting off are, and if there anything else you want us to talk about. There's so many things around the world to talk about, guys. All right, and one of the most important thing is growth. And if you are not growing, then you're dying every day. That is what Tony say. That was what Tony say. And yeah, remember to keep growing, and remember who you truly are.
And remember the power of creation you possess, guys.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for watching us and joining us in this journey. And I can't wait to, well, see all of those potential extraordinary ones, all of them, single one of you, to be expressed and to be shared. All right, take care, guys. See you all next time. Bye
Take
bye.
care, guys.